Dragula ghoulies, I'm not even going to put the pop-up this week because how many times now have I said I am waiting for the Holidays of Horror challenge to come back? And here we finally are, meaning I have correctly guessed 4 out of 5 challenges so far this season, so I just need my prediction of a Rocky Horror challenge to come up, and that means that I have correctly guessed all of the challenges that I predicted. What can I say? I'm good at this point. So far this season, there has been a lack, though, of 2 of our tenants. So far, we've had hardly any filth and hardly any horror, so it's about time that we got a double dosage going on in this episode. If you're new here, though, I'm Hannah, I go by Hordes online, and I normally talk about horror movies on Mondays and Fridays, and I talk about the Boulet brothers, Dragula Titans every Saturday at the moment. And if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, maybe hit the subscribe button and come and have a chat down in the coffin section 6 feet below the video. Pull yourself up a lovely cozy casket and have a chat with everybody down there. They are a lovely bunch who want to come out and talk about Dragula every single week, and I am incredibly grateful that I have such a lovely community like building up here on my channel that is just as excited to talk about this every single Saturday as I am. One quick thing that I want to quickly talk about, though, from the previous episode is the number of you that said that Blackberry's outfit was actually very 90s US inspired and left me a particular music video to go and watch, which I did, so I now understand the references behind Blackberry's outfit. And I was saying as well in the comments that Blackberry's outfit was very, was it 90s US? Because here in the UK, and I'm gonna pop some pictures up, the trend that we had here was called Britpop, and it was like Sporty Spice style sportswear with like oversized flannel shirts and bucket hats. Think Spice Girls meets Oasis. It was not a great look in the slightest. So thank you to everybody that commented and told me that it was actually accurate. So I am now going to stop talking about the previous episode and let's just jump right on into what actually happened in the Holiday of Horrors episode.
Okay, let's go.
Everyone who wasn't in the bottom 4 in the previous episode walks back into the lab, and Cynthia politely asks, who does everybody think is coming back? Which is a much nicer way of saying, like, who do you think went home? Like, let's build up the people we actually still want to be in the competition. And it is kind of a general consensus that they kind of think it's going to be either Zava or Dahlia. And Priscilla delivers this amazing one-liner of plot twist, Dahlia's an alcoholic, and everybody is absolutely gagged. There's this one, like the faces from this one comment absolutely cracked me up. But I already knew that at least 2 of the people from the previous episode were coming back, and I'll explain why. The first person to walk back into the room is Abora, and I knew that Abora wasn't going anywhere because if you watched the trailer, I knew that Abora was doing Christmas because the look that she has in this episode is in the trailer, and I knew it was Abora because it's got her signature nose. So happy to see that Abora walked back in for another week, and everybody else in that room was also really excited to see Abora come back for another week. And then walks in one of my top 3 girlies, Jaharia, and everybody has the same reaction. They are really happy to see that Jaharia is back in the competition again, and all I can say is, so am I. I will quickly jump back though and say just before Jaharia walks in, Abora talks about going to A&E and a little bit what happened. We still don't know exactly what it was that Abora ate. She said it was kidneys, but I have a feeling that it's going to be much more complicated than that because the fact that she was rushed to A&E tells me that there was probably something like preserving those kidneys on the stage. So Jaharia walks back in and everybody is like, this is good, we don't need anybody else coming back in, to which Cynthia delivers a twist on her now infamous line, "Shut the door, bitch," which I absolutely keeled over laughing at, to immediately see JK and Disasterina using the mannequins to like block the doorway, which so funny. But it is revealed over the course of everybody just talking and nobody else walking into the room that it is in fact a double extermination. We lost Zava and Dahlia from the previous episode. So all of a sudden, the like energy changes in the room, the dark cloud has shifted, everybody breathes out a little bit, and it's amazing the difference by simply taking out a toxic personality and somebody who has brought a lot of drama into the competition. By simply removing them, completely changes the atmosphere and the energy in the room.
Vampires drain people's energy.
Am I personally surprised to find out that Zava and Dahlia were both exterminated? No, it was Zava's third time in 4 weeks in the bottom. Dahlia had kind of like given up in the eating challenge, I want to say. Like, Dahlia was just defeated. Like, the second that the finger was pointing back at her and like she had to suddenly realize that she really was the root cause of all of the drama, and like Eva said in the previous episode, was kind of the puppet master without knowing about it back on season 3 and all of its drama. It was time for both of them to go, and I kind of hate to say it, but it's time to start thinning out these competitors, because at the start of this episode, there was still 8 of them here. It is in this moment that JK says that they are coming for Eva, and Eva's like, oh, are we? Are we? And JK says it's because Eva has been doing so well. And Eva has been kind of smashing this competition so far, and nobody can say any different. I mean, consistently being in the top 3 every single week up to this point, that's my definition of smashing a competition. And Cynthia, being the shady little gremlin that she is in this episode, is like, well, Blackberry's doing really well too. And Blackberry's face is like, oh, you did not, considering you just came for me like less than 5 minutes ago. Blackberry and Cynthia's drama in this episode comes well and truly bubbling back up to the surface, and I'm going to talk about this when it well and truly kicks off.
Oh shit, here we go again.
We then get the challenge announcement for the episode, and obviously it is the holiday of horrors. Pick a traditional, well-known holiday and make it gross and horrific and bleh and all of these things. So there are certain holidays that we haven't had up to this point on the show. Nobody did Valentine's Day in the previous time we did it. We have still not had the holiday that I would pick. Like, where is St. Patrick's Day? Like, where is my, like, demented little leprechaun spewing up green beer into a bucket of gold? Like, I'm so surprised that nobody's done St. Patrick's Day yet. We actually had, you're going to find out, 2 people did Valentine's Day and 2 people did Christmas. So I can understand why they picked them, because they weren't featured on the previous time that we did this challenge. But where's my St. Patrick's Day? Where's my leprechaun?
Gone forever in a puff of smoke.
Now, this episode happens to come with one hell of a prize, and the winner of this main challenge will actually feature in the upcoming Boulet Brothers Christmas anthology project that they are putting together, which I think is probably going to be like, you know how they did the halfway to Halloween with Shudder? I think it's going to be a Shudder exclusive kind of deal going on. But to be featured in a movie produced by that's a prize. That's a serious prize. That's better than immunity. That's better than a curse. Like, that is an acting credit on your resume that everybody can see. Like, that possibly the best, besides the final prize of $100,000 and a crown, that is easily the best prize we've ever had on the show so far. I knew, though, that this challenge was going to be a little bit of a challenge, should we say, for certain competitors, because there are people on this cast, including my girl Eva and Sigourney, who are not known for doing, like, dirty, filthy, disgusting looks. So I was like, okay, I am intrigued to see what you two are going to pull out, because at this point, it's kind of sink or swim.
Help me! I'm dying!
We then see the Titans start to work on their looks in the workroom, and I called from the trailer that Sigourney was going to do the Statue of Liberty, because it's in the damn trailer. And it was at this point I was like, I'm going to need Sigourney to actually step out this side. Give me filth, like, give me filth. I don't want glamour with a hint of filth. I want filth with a little bit of glamour, like 80-20. That's what I'm looking at. 70-30, I might forgive. And I'm not expecting Sigourney to suddenly give me, like, Asia consent levels of filth, but I want to be able to look at what she gives me and go, I'm not going to, I want to feel gross when looking at that. To me, that's the definition of filth. If you look at what somebody is presenting and it makes you feel some kind of way, like, you're actually doing well in a filth challenge. It doesn't need to be like just dirty. Like, you need to feel like you need to go and bath in bleach after just to cleanse your soul. Priscilla is doing Father's Day, and I knew that even if this look wasn't a absolutely smash it out of the ballpark, I felt for Priscilla in that moment as somebody who also has trauma related to that's related to my dad, which I'm not going to talk about on this because there's not time to sit down and have Hannah's therapy session. Like, I can still appreciate what Priscilla was prepared to bring to the table because it is a personal story that she wants to put across, because anyone will tell you if you've had a bad parent who has scarred you for life, it's something that you carry with you going forward, and it does immediately make you distrustful of people. JK is doing Mardi Gras, which is another holiday that we haven't seen in this challenge so far. And I was like, oh, I absolutely can see how Mardi Gras and filth go together, because everybody at Mardi Gras just gets absolutely wasted and wears tiny, tiny costumes and a shit ton of beads. That's basically what I know about Mardi Gras. It's an excuse for everybody to get absolutely hammered and wear green, purple and yellow. And JK starts putting out these like little comments about like Eva and Sigourney, who are both in the background making faces. JK came to play this episode, and so did Jaharia, but I'll get on to her in a minute. But it's in this moment where Sigourney kind of takes a little bit of the bait that JK is throwing out there, and Blackberry's face was like me. Like, Blackberry listening to the drama and being like, I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to listen. It's just me in this moment. Just absolutely me in this moment. JK then takes Jaharia aside to discuss a potential alliance. And this moment, I was like, oh, JK want to play the game. Okay. I can applaud anybody that wants to make an alliance. Like, if it's going to be mutually beneficial to both of you to help you get a little bit further in the competition and potentially take out a bigger threat, absolutely, go wild, play the game. The Boulets encourage you to play the game. So I have a problem with people sitting down and forming alliances. And Jaharia is like, you know what? I can see this being mutually beneficial if we get rid of Eva. And JK says, shall we pinky promise on it? And in that moment, we get a flashback, black and white moment to Cynthia and Jaharia in episode 1, which absolutely cracked me up, because we all know pinky promises, they're like a vegan blood, like they are a vegan version of a blood pact, and I stand by this. Like, if you make a pinky promise, it's because you believe in the power of a pinky promise. So what do JK and Jaharia do? They make a pinky promise, which immediately Jaharia breaks by running to Eva and being like, guess what, JK has decided that we should form an alliance and try and get rid of you. And Eva in confessionals is like, I already got to Jaharia, she's working for me. It's at this point Sigourney comes over and joins in the conversation, and I've got her quote here because I have a few thoughts on this. Sigourney says, I think Jaharia is coming over and trying to have this tantalizing talk because she wants to get in on my good side and Eva's good graces because it might save her somewhere down the road. Now, I just want to say, Eva, yes. Sigourney, girl, in this moment, you have been coasting. So Jaharia's got a better track record than you do at this point, so absolutely not. Nope. No, maybe after this episode, but not at this point in the competition.
Delusion. Convince yourself.
I will say, I think it's smart in this moment that Sigourney and Eva decide to temporarily put their thing on hold because they now have a mutual enemy in line of sight. And you know, as the phrase goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Well, I think that's absolutely what is happening here, because now both of them are set to try and take out JK, which is going to be interesting because JK has certainly... they've elevated their game this season, and I can't knock them for that. Jaharia, though, girl, saying she's loyal but very messy. Like, she came this episode and she brought her spoon with her, and rather than stirring up the drama, she just decided to hit everyone with it because it's way more fun.
Not the mama, not the mama, not the mama, not the mama, not the mama.
This is when Blackberry and Cynthia spark off again, and it absolutely explodes to the point where Cynthia decides she's going to go and get ready in the sewing room instead. And both of them, I see both points of view, and I will try and explain on this. Cynthia is mad that Blackberry didn't try and save her in episode 1. Blackberry says, I'm only here for myself. And I get it, like, in a competition setting, if you come in with pre-established relationships, you cannot rely on those pre-established relationships to get you further, simply because anything that happens in a competition is going to affect that relationship going forward. The only person that you should really be focused on is yourself, and you can't expect your friends to not put themselves above you in a competition setting. $100,000 is on the line, and to a lot of people, that is a seriously life-changing amount of money. I'm not saying that you can't, like, be there for your friends. I'm just saying, if there's only ever going to be one winner, so you can't both stand up there and share a crown and share a scepter and share your $100,000, because only one of you is ever going to be crowned the supreme titan in this situation. Now, Jaharia goes after Cynthia and sits down with her and is like, I think that Blackberry does care. I just think that maybe we are popped off a little bit too hard on her in this situation, because if you popped off on me like that, even if I did care, I'd tell you straight to your face, I didn't care in that moment. And I kind of do think Blackberry cares a little bit, but about the friendship that they have rather than the situation that happened in episode 1. And I agree with Jaharia that Cynthia should really sit down with Blackberry and talk this out properly and listen to what Blackberry has to say. And Cynthia in confessionals is even like, yeah, maybe I did just push this a little bit too far.
You think? No.
We then see the Boulets take the main stage wearing these like retro-inspired pin-up witch kind of outfits, which back in the trailer when I saw these, I said they were super cute anyway. They remind me of a pin-up like model from the 40s called Dusty Anderson. She is most well known for a witch character that she did and a black cat. I guarantee if you like sort of retro Halloween, you have probably seen the original photos that she modeled for, because they have been like replicated and duplicated in all kinds of artwork since. But I really like this look. I like the sort of peak of orange underneath the hat and inside the lining of the dress. I like the green lip and the green eye, which is a potential reference to like classic witch colours without being painted entirely green. The classic like red witch nails, like, I'm not mad at this look. I think it's super cute, and I would also wear this look this week. The first of our guest judges is my horror wife, which is Jennifer Tilly, if you didn't know. Bride of Chucky is my favourite horror movie, and Tiffany is my favourite horror character. I love her with every fibre of my being, so having Jennifer Tilly back was always going to feed my soul. But unfortunately, you can't see the dress that she's wearing behind the judging panel, but I saw it on Instagram prior. It has half of her face on it. Like, it's so wild. Like, if you haven't seen it, please go and look on Instagram, because it is beautiful, this dress. It's just hidden behind the judges panel, and all you can see is like one eye peeking out. The second judge is Don Mancini, who is the man that created Chucky/Child's Play. If it's not obvious, there are two horror franchises that I adore with every fibre of my being, and that is obviously Chucky/Child's Play and the Saw franchise. And seeing that Don Mancini was wearing a blazer that had the same sort of... It's the same print as Chucky's overalls. If you've never taken a closer look at Chucky's overalls, in the original, it's supposed to be like, you can dress Chucky up and he can be this job and this job and this job. And the print is all the little things and tools that you would need to do those jobs, like the fireman's hat and the sort of toolbox, and that's sort of like, that's the print that's on Don Mancini's blazer. And I love this. Also, he's wearing bright yellow trainers, which you did not see, but I also saw thanks to Instagram. If you ever look at the judges' looks on this show and are like, yeah, I think it looks nice, but you can't really tell, always check on Instagram, because they will always post on the Boulet brothers Dragula Instagram the picture of the Boulets with the two judges. So there you go.
You're welcome.
Now, after my rant last week, we actually got a proper runway this week, which I am so happy to say about. I have proper screenshots this week. We got a good look at everybody in a little bit more detail because there's now less competitors. However, because Linda at YouTube will not let me say certain things or show certain things, I am going to have to censor things like booby nippers, because you can't say the actual word on YouTube, believe it or not. So please forgive if there are censor bars over things. and me not showing half of the filth gags, because let's just say Priscilla's, if I showed that on YouTube, Linda would be like, absolutely no monetization for you, thank you very much.
Hello, I like money.
The first person that we see is Eva, who has come as Valentine's Day. And we all know that I'm an Eva stan. Like, I am biased towards my girlie Eva, but even I this week went, I do not understand how a harpy or a Valkyrie ties into Valentine's Day, besides the fact that they both have wings, kind of like Cupid. And I feel like I might share a little bit this week, because I was having a conversation recently with my mum, and I was saying if I did Valentine's Day, I would go for like Cupid, who has been absolutely shot through by arrows. Like, have it that you are a fallen Cupid's angel kind of look. And there are definitely things that I like about Eva's look. I like the sort of heart-shaped braids in the front of the wig. I like the blood, like, coated weapon. I think that the wings look great. I don't understand how Harpy and Valentine's Day go together. And I even typed into Google for a quick search, like, Harpies, love, Harpies, Valentine's Day. And Google went, we don't know either, girl. So maybe there's something that I'm missing that I don't know about, but, you know, if I am missing, please, as always, chuck it down in the coffin section and tell me if there is something. She borrowed a whole ass man for her filth gimmick, but it's unfortunate that quite a lot of people also went for a similar gimmick in this. There was a lot of people that decided to do eating things. So I do agree that Eva was safe this episode. I think the look was fine. Like, it's a great look, but I don't understand how it's Valentine's Day, and I do absolutely think that her performance is the thing that made her safe this week. I hate to say this, but yeah, Eva for me, Eva was safe this week. Then we see Sigourney as the Statue of Liberty, and girl came as like a pissed off kaiju Statue of Liberty, and I'm not mad at this. I was waiting for this look. I was waiting for like the sort of patinaed kind of look. I love how we saw her in the workroom saying that the velvet just refused to accept colour, which is probably why we ended up with this like really streaky kind of look, which isn't too dissimilar to the actual Statue of Liberty. I think that this is Sigourney's strongest look to date on this season. I don't think anything that she's worn comes close to the level that we are seeing on this challenge. But I will say about her filth gimmick, like, the pointy end, no, anybody, like, if you're a girly that likes girlies like myself out there, will tell you, if somebody's got too pointier nails, it hurts. So the pointy end. It was a bit like, for me, do you remember Throb's filth look from the season 5 finale, where it was like Throb's sexy car wash? And it's like, I don't know whether I'm like slightly disgusted or whether this is like slightly like, is this hot? Is this not? I don't know. But like I said, the pointy end.
Everything's a dildo if you're brave enough.
The next person that we see is Priscilla in their Father's Day look. Is this simple? Yes. Did I immediately get that this is a deadbeat dad? Absolutely. Like, the Father's Day card was kind of the only thing along with the hat that said it was Father's Day, but I am always of the belief that any dad who has the world's best dad or number one dad, either mug or hat, is not a good dad. That was a cheap gift to keep the peace, and I'll stand by that every single time. I have never met a great dad who has one of those mugs, because they don't need one of those mugs and they don't expect one of those mugs or those hats. And this is coming from somebody who had a deadbeat dad, and I guarantee to my Americans that you have probably all met somebody whose dad was like this at some point, and you're like, I just happen to have the English version of this dad. The filth gag though, choosing to get freaky with the corpse of your offspring, is a choice. We've seen this gag before from like Victoria. So was I as shocked as probably you'd expect to be? No. So it was fine. Like, do you feel a bit like ugh when watching it? Yeah. But again, we've kind of seen it before and kind of done better, because Victoria's finale,
And there are 2 dead bodies in the study.
Cynthia's Valentine's Day look, before the reveal, reminded me of like a demonic version of, you know, the heart-shaped chocolate boxes that you see come out around Valentine's Day that are really expensive and usually contain like really bad tasting chocolate? That is absolutely what I got here. What is going on outside today with my, excuse the dark lighting today, like, it is 1:15 in the afternoon and England has decided it's not actually having any kind of sun today. I like this. Once it was removed though, I got a combination of like a voodoo doll meets chestburster from Alien. The kind of claws and the heart and exposed bit on the chest, that's what gave me Alien. Was it my favourite? No, but was it absolutely a Cynthia doll look? Yes, it was. Her filth gag was another eating gag, a very sort of like sloppy eating gag, and I definitely think that there's a worse eating gag like to come out of everybody's on this. It was fine. I just think it was very like, no offense to Cynthia fans out there, it was very mid. It was fine. None of the looks on this were bad in this episode. It was fine. It was fine. It said Valentine's Day. It certainly said Valentine's Day more than Eva's did, but I think Eva just had the better look, if that makes sense. And when there are two of you stood on that stage doing the same holiday, you are going to get compared to each other.
Different, but same.
Now, Blackberry as Thanksgiving, like, holy hell, gag me with a spoon. Like, this was, like, filthy and disgusting in the best possible way. And then the table fell apart, and I was like, you had this! Like, you had this with this, like, disgusting foul turkey look. Like, I looked at this and went, oh, that is rancid. Like, absolutely rotten. And then the filth gag to, like, use the gravy and the mashed potatoes. I think I can't be the only one that when you see people eat, like, really messily, makes you feel some kind of way. And I think as well, being a 90s kid and growing up in the early 2000s when you were told like skinny is better, we all have like complexes to do with food. So there was just something about Blackberry's look where I was like, no. And then the table fell apart and I was like, go, you wearing leggings. So if the table hadn't fallen apart, it would have absolutely got higher points in my opinion, but I'm glad that Blackberry was safe at the end because the top half of this was absolutely foul.
Eat us. Hey, it's Thanksgiving Day.
JK was Mardi Gras and it absolutely screamed, I am Mardi Gras in every kind of way. From the colour scheme being purple, green and yellow, to the beads, to the like hurricane iconic drink, like the cup that it always comes in. When I think Mardi Gras as well, you think like parties and floats and parades and beads and everything about it just screamed Mardi Gras. And then we had the gag, which was feeding the things into the mouth on the front of the outfit before it then puked the green stuff out of the back. And I can't say I'm mad with Jake. Like, this to me is a great holiday of horrors. Like I said, JK has absolutely shown up this, besides last week for the Nosferatu beach party, this is a completely different JK that we did not see on season 5, so to JK.
Yes!
Disasterina came as Christmas and a Krampus-inspired Christmas, which I am so surprised that we didn't get a Krampus Christmas on the first time we saw this back on season 6. And if you don't know, in the classic Krampus story, he carries children in a, like, wicker basket or a sack, and that is what Disasterina had, like, was carrying, but it kind of gave me, because it looked more like a cage. If you've seen the classic Disney version of Pinocchio, when Stromboli has got Pinocchio inside the birdcage, like, that's what I got. I do think, though, that their filth gimmick was quite weak. Like, there's not much that I really remember about it, except that it involved a head, and I think she ate cereal out of the top of it. It looked like cereal to me, so tell me if I'm wrong. It was fine. It was fine. Yeah, I think a lot of us were like waiting for a filth challenge when it came to Disasterina because she's kind of known for being LA's most disastrous trash queen. That's how she bills herself. So was I a bit like underwhelmed by what Disasterina pulled this week? Yeah, and I hate to say that. I'm litter! Abora then came out as a whole Christmas tree. And I don't mean like a little tiny like spruce or fir tree. Like, she came as like an 18-20-foot Christmas tree, which was wild. Like, the actual real chainsaw as well, the skinned human suit that was like draped over one of the branches. This thing was incredible. Like, we have never seen a silhouette like this on Dragula, and I guarantee that we will never see anything like it ever again, because holy hell, the second this walked out, I was like, if Abora doesn't win, I'm gonna riot. I really am gonna riot, because wow, like, this was, no offense to the other top people, this was the best damn thing to walk out on that stage. And then we got a third Christmas look.
Not another one?
When Jaharia came out as this like twisted little elf character, which I personally love, but I guarantee that you could hear Jaharia absolutely everywhere that they went that day because of all the little like jingly bells that were on it. I love an elf that's like demented and weird and like fucked up. There is a manga, and if you haven't seen it, it's somewhere behind me on the shelf, which is called Black Knight Parade, which is like a Christmas sort of horror manga. Recommend. And Jaharia's character would fit right in the world of Black Knight Parade. As somebody who never liked the Santa story growing up, and I'll explain in a minute, Jaharia absolutely railing Santa with that candy cane, like the head of it, that healed some childhood trauma in me, because you can't tell me that the story of Santa isn't terrifying. Like, it's literally about a man breaking into your house on Christmas Eve. Like, that ain't cute. That is like breaking and entering plus trespass. And if you've got any kind of trauma related to one of your parents, like, the idea of somebody breaking into your house is an absolutely not. It is then revealed that Eva, Jaharia, and Blackberry are all safe this week, and I was like, thank you, my top 3 are safe for another week. I have no complaints about this. Thank you very much. I know that some people are going to question like why Eva was safe when her look wasn't like necessarily screaming Valentine's Day. I don't care. I'm not having a word said against my girl. She's safe this week. Thank you very much. But I'd like to just take a second and say, can we please have Jennifer Tilly back more challenges, please, because oh, she's adorable, and I love that she tries to see the best in everybody's outfit, and the commentary she gives, like, she's so like, she just waffles on, and I love her so much. Like, anybody who is in the bottom, you get Jennifer Tilly as a guest judge. She's gonna give you some kind of compliment about something you are wearing and make you feel just that little bit better, even if you did flub a challenge. Nobody really did flub this week, but it was just like, I love her so much. Can we please get my only request, like, can we have Jennifer Tilly like back every single seasons like we do with Bonnie Aarons, please, because I love her so much. The top 3 of the episode, and rightly so, is JK, Sigourney, and Abora, and the winner is Abora, because of course it was. It, like, I'm sorry Sigourney fans, but this was Abora's episode to win, because that trait, that headpiece alone had to be at least like 5-6 feet tall. This thing was incredible. So well deserved win, in my opinion, for Abora this week. This does mean, though, that the bottom 3 of the episode is Cynthia, Disasterina, and Priscilla, and everybody then heads back to the cauldron, and we get another one of my favourite moments between Cynthia and JK, just when they sit on the couch and they've developed this like adorable friendship. I lovingly describe them as like Stanford and Waldorf from the Muppets, and I still stand by this. I love them both together. It was a very quiet cauldron this episode compared to what has been going on the previous weeks. We have Priscilla in her feelings, we have Disasterina very much in her feelings, and Disasterina gets a little bit spicy with people in her comments, but I can understand why. She's sad about like failing a filth challenge, so we say. And for the most part, it's a quiet cauldron. And at one point, Eva does, though, ask JK, like, why are you trying to take me out? Like, why am I your target? And JK, like, she's like, why, what do you plan, how are you planning to try and take me out? And JK says they want to elevate themselves to the same level as Eva so they can knock them out. And I was like, is JK going for Miss Congeniality this season? What was that answer?
Wear the crown. Be the crown. You are the crown.
Back on the main stage though, Cynthia's soul is spared from the gallows, and Priscilla and Disasterina walk up that set of stairs. And nobody wants to see either of these two titans go home. They are like the comic relief behind the scenes along with Cynthia. So I kind of felt for everybody in this moment. So they climb the stairs to the gallows, and Disasterina drops. But the drama doesn't stop there, because Abora immediately starts to cry because that's her friend gone. And the next thing we see, Priscilla has also dropped, and then Eva bursts into tears. It was the second double elimination in a row. We lost 4 titans this episode because we didn't get to see who actually went home at the end of the previous episode. Like, we are down 4 people this episode. And I can't say that I'm mad at it. Like, keep thinning out this herd, please. Like, we are trucking at this point towards that finale. I did question, though, how this is going to go into the Hellbound Showdown next week, because are we going to have 3 people facing off against each other next week? Maybe we are. But before everybody is then released, the Boulets tell them, you know what? Next week, you need to create a Wildy West Ghost-inspired look with a little bit of a hint from the Season 6 Ghost Train challenge thrown in as well, because we are bringing back Season 2's Ghost Town challenge, but there is a performance element in this one involving a lip sync. So we already know what next week's challenge is going to be, and I'm kind of here for this. I don't want to know what the challenge is going to be every week, but I felt like this was kind of a warning to like the other Titans being like, we've exterminated 2 people, and now we've exterminated another 2 people. So who's to say, if you do not step it up, that we're not going to do the same thing in the next episode?
Let's go!
It's then revealed in a like text bubble pop-up that Zava was the person who was disqualified, and they have been disqualified for, and I wrote it down here, breaking production rules, which means that they will not appear in the Hellbound Showdown. And I had already heard rumours before the season started airing, I think we all had, that somebody was disqualified. But I am not going to sit here and like speculate on all the reasons that I think Zava was like disqualified, because that isn't fair. We don't know the context, we don't know what happened, and unless Zava comes out and says what happened, or the Boulets specifically say on their podcast what happened, I'm not going to sit here and like swirl rumours and speculation, because that's not fair on anybody involved. We just know that Zava was Zava was disqualified for said reason, and I'm gonna leave it at that. The Hellbound Showdown then begins with Jade versus Dahlia, and I'm gonna talk about Dahlia first because Dahlia came as a Easter-inspired Jesus Christ, complete with a cross and a crown of thorns, but like a freshly arisen from the dead version of Jesus Christ. But once they lost the cross, I kind of felt the like impact had gone from their look, and they spent quite a bit of time at the back of the main stage doing some sort of gag with the tombstones, which, you know, didn't entirely understand. But I do have to ask my Americans for a small favour here, because I have no idea what holiday Jade was supposed to be. I liked the look, but I was like, can somebody please tell me what a witch wearing a bear on her back and eating worms is supposed to be? So if you are American and you know what holiday Jade was supposed to be, please let me know down in the coffin section, because I agree she had the better performance. I liked her look. I just do not know what holiday she was supposed to be.
I'm so confused.
So let's have my final thoughts on the episode. I think that Eva and Sigourney at some point will reignite their feud, but I think at the moment they are focused on JK. I think that Cynthia and Blackberry, I would like to hope that Cynthia actually listens to Jaharia and sits down with Blackberry next week and actually talks things out, because I do see where both sides are coming from in this argument. I agree that Abora was the correct person to like win this week, because after last week, like, girl proved that she really wanted to stay in this competition, and if she'd have gone home, we would have never seen this like insane Christmas tree look. I can't believe that 3 people though did Christmas. We got 3 Christmas, 2 Valentine's Day, and there's only 8 of them in the so 5 people had 2 holidays between them. I think that it was, yeah, I hate to say it, but I do think it was probably time for Disasterina or Priscilla to go home. So am I surprised that it was another double extermination? No, not really. What do I think is going to happen going forward? I'm still waiting for a potential Rocky Horror inspired challenge, which I spied in the trailer, but I am interested to see what the ghost town is going to be like next week, because I think a lot of us think of like Abora's ghost town look as being one of the most iconic looks to ever come out of Dragula in general. So we're going back to the ghost town next week. The drama has toned itself down, which makes me happy. Like, it's still there, but it's not overshadowing everything. And this episode was like, this to me was probably the best episode so far of this season. So there you have it, my recap and my review for Dragula Titans 2 episode 5. And I would love to know what your thoughts and opinions are down in the coffin section down below. Like I said, they're a lovely bunch down there. Like, pull yourself up a cozy casket and have a chat with everybody, because we all just love to talk about the show after the episodes have aired. And the next episode actually airs on my birthday, so that's a nice little surprise for me, knowing the challenge already. So I am going to stop waffling and say to everybody, if you watch my other videos, I will see you on Monday with a movie review. We are watching Brute 1978 on Monday. If not, I will see you next Saturday for the Titans 2 episode 6 review and recap. So until next time, bye. A special thank you though to my regenerators here within the Horde for their support over on Patreon.